Oh no problem. We're gonna start something new today anyway. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're recording. Okay, so the one thing I will give out. So we're gonna finish tone 1 today, and I'll give out tone 4. Since I don't know exactly the best progression between the tones, it seems like tone 8 is a good place to start. Then tone 1, and then it's kind of, you can go to Plagal 1 or 4, and I think 4 is a nice place. It's
I got that.
Oh, you have it? Okay. Do you have Lord I've Cried too, or
Do I have what?
Lord I've Cried? The first.
Oh, you did. Maybe not.
You can always give this back, just for the first 2 pages. And then I think the only other thing, this one and this one, which you guys have from before.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Okay, so we'll, I think we'll just finish up tone 1, and then move on to tone 4, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And I think so. We're gonna finish. I think we were at the end of the Apostica. I think we got to the Glory Book now, and then we stopped. So again, SaintAnthony'sMonastery.com, and everyone have. Do you need the tone 1? Do you need the tone 1 stick here?
I don't have it. I think I don't have it.
Yes.
Plagal first mode.
Yeah.
I have Plagal first mode.
Here you go. And we're just on the last 2 pages.
So it's not the Plagal first.
Nope. Yeah, we went to the first.
Plagal fourth.
Alright. So I'll switch my screen. Okay, so again, we'll go through the Glory Book now. We'll just sing those as written, and then we'll do the Apostica Theotokian using Mi Pavuga Vikezoni, and then we'll sing with the words and we'll see how we do the first time. First, we'll.
What page are we on?
Page 48.
Okay, that's the earlier stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ah, very nice. And so first we'll just sing the scale, just ni. We'll just go up the scale. Ni pavuga vikezoni, ni zoke vigavu pani. And then we'll go anane. That'll be our pa. We'll start at the glory. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, both now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. And what is our last note to be on?
The.
Okay, which means that our first note of the Apostica Theotokian is the. Yes. So continuing on. So that's our pa. The.
Glory on both now is the same.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why at the beginning of the book now it says go down 3. So, thee, behold, thee, vigavu, vugavu pa, if you look, where's the Isan go?
Down.
It goes down to low K. So that will give you some indication that you're probably going to do something similar. So pa ni zo ke zo ni ga vu pa ke di ga ga vu ga vu pa vu ga pa ke di ke zo ni zo ke di ke zo ke di ga vu ga di ke zo ke ga vu pa pa di ke zo ke ke ga vu ga ke ga vu pa vu ga ga vu pa ni pa vu pa. All right. So that was kind of long.
Can I ask you a question if it's not too
Sure.
time consuming? When we have the kappa going below for the Isan, what does this mean? I lost this part
Sure.
of the class.
So what we have. So when it goes like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one, anything at least in St. Anthony's Monastery's music, whenever it's in parentheses, it's the Isan.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just means instead of going to Ke up here, you go to the Ke below Pa. So that's just the Isan marker. St. Anthony's is their font always does that. Sometimes you'll see it without it. Sometimes you'll see it without the arrow. Sometimes you'll see it in lowercase, and sometimes you might see, it might say. So there's different ways that people will write it.
And this means that we're going to go down next.
This one means that the Isan goes to Ke, the low Ke.
So that sort of implies that the melody's going to go down too.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the Isan would go up.
Exactly. And so normally the Isan, its function is to provide the base of the melody and to tell you what section of the scale you're going to be in. So we've seen sometimes that the Isan's on Pa. Sometimes it goes up to the whenever we're between the and high ni. And in this case, it goes down to low Ke, telling us that we're going to be between Ke and Pa. Sometimes it goes down to low the, but we haven't seen any of this. But it does that. Mazi.
Mazi.
So
the Isan chant.
Yeah, Isan gets the chant. So Mazi meaning unison or on this, jumping to the melody part. Yeah, I guess M works well that you can just write melody instead of Mazi, the Greek word. So
oh, yay!
yeah, so M for melody or Mazi, whichever.
Together.
Yeah, together. Did that answer? Did it help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so was that too fast for people?
No.
Was that okay? Okay.
No, Saturday was too fast.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking.
But today is fine.
when you said like, oh man, we did a lot of sight reading, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess it was probably like all at once, just keep
There it is.
going.
Whoa, and we're gonna do it real fast.
That's it. Everybody points at you.
Yes.
Yeah. But I wasn't.
That's
yeah,
why I
didn't-
was pointing at you.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna point at you because I didn't want to do that, and then I was pointing at you because I wasn't sure if you wanted to do things or like for the glories. I wasn't sure.
Oh yeah, that was okay.
And then when you looked kind of like I wasn't sure if you wanted to do it, so I was like, okay, I'll just do it. I don't want to.
I mean, well, yeah. If I heard the Prosomia like 5 or 6 more times, I probably could have like taken one. But
Yeah.
having just heard it for the first time,
Well, I at least
previous Zikira,
for all the Prosomia, I wanted to just do it together, which is what this
Yeah.
hand motion meant.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All together.
Everyone-
Really, I want
everyone.
you to join with me.
Yeah.
take it as best you can.
Yeah, because
Yes,
at least
yes.
with the Prosomia, and we'll see, and this actually, we did this in Pittsburgh, no one wanted to learn any of the model melodies, so I learned them. And so I would sing them, and they were like, Nick, sing them. And I was like, by myself? Like, we would sing Lord I've Tried and a bunch of things, like, with 12 people. And then we jumped down to 1, which is a huge, like, to go from 12 people singing together to 1 is, like, a big, big change. And so eventually one of our chanters, he spent some time trying to learn it, but he didn't really know them. So he would kind of sing with me and make mistakes, but he would always be slightly behind
Well, that's kind of what
or
we're doing.
follow.
Yes.
And sure enough, like
Sure, you were onto that.
with the ones that were like, you know, that we would repeat constantly, like week after week, 3 weeks later, like he was singing them right with me, and it was just by, you know, and that I think that's part of the tradition is that you just get in there, you just sing. You don't sing very loud. You don't sing as louder than the one who knows it.
No.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't doing that either. I don't think.
But I mean, after like 2 or 3 of them, like you know, you started to recognize some of the. I couldn't have sat there and like sang the whole thing. But I knew where some of the.
Once I noticed
some of the melodies
Eugene started singing with us for some of the things, I was kind of like, oh, he's picking up on it too. So, but yeah, so we'll do this words again or words now, or stick to the.
Can I ask a question about the mode?
Sure.
The difference between the 3 modes we've already studied, is it the same scale?
Yeah. So, and I think we've discussed this, but we're going through the diatonic scale in general, and the diatonic in general. So we started with Plagal 4, and that's just because Plagal 4 doesn't have many scale changes, at least for the brief version, which is a good thing when learning. Then we went to mode 1, and that's just because mode 1 is kind of the natural progression next to it. This has a few more scale changes. Then we're going to go to 4, and 4. The reason why we didn't start with 4 because there's not too many scale changes in this, but this starts on knee, which is good for Western ears because this is that's very Western. Tone 1, it starts on pa, and that's very, still Western, kind of a minor scale-ish type thing. Tone 4 starts on vu, and in general, that just doesn't make any sense to a Western ear, because everything, you always want to resolve it somewhere, and it keeps going,
yeah, that's what it always sounds like. You stop. Yeah, you sort of stop in the middle of it.
And it's like, I want to go down there. So, because of that, and then it's Ni Pa Vu, and we're also just going up the scale here. And then also, we'll get to Plagal first after that. There's no real reason why we have to do it there. I think Plagal 1 is easier than all of these, so it's kind of nice to do this one, this one, this one, and then do this one. It's like, oh man, this is easy. I know that one. And then after that, getting into probably 3 and 7, and then 2 and 6, because 2 and 6 are probably the hardest for a Western ear. 3 and 7 are just a little funky. 2 and 7, we won't get into the weird stuff. We'll stay as the regular things. But these are all diatonic, which do either of you remember the intervals? The
interval
for the
concept
diatonic?
Yeah.
Just kind of
With 12, 10, 8.
Yeah.
12, 12, 10, 8.
Yeah. With your
Not that we ever sing that, so I don't know why it matters.
Yeah. So,
I think 12, 12, 6, 12, 12, 12, 6.
yeah. And just to let you know, this note in the middle is the diazeptikos, I think, which is the disjunct note, the note that separates these patterns, 12, 10, 8, and 12, 10, 8. So it's a way of, like here in this scale chart I wrote separator, disjunct I've heard, the adjoining note, it depends on how you do it. But there's always a 12 in most of them, separating the things. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay, so back to the words, or
Yeah.
okay,
Absolutely.
okay, and then we'll do, after we do it once slowly, then we'll do glory both now and with the words a little faster. So, Anane thee 1, 2, 1. Behold, fulfilled is the prophecy of Esaias. I guess because that Isaiah. So,
the second line. Yeah, that makes
prophecy of Isaiah. What is it? Esaias? Is that Isaias? So, keep going. We'll just keep going. We'll just ignore that. For as a virgin hast thou given birth, and after giving birth thou hast remained as thou wast before childbirth. For he that was born was God, wherefore also he hath renewed all natures. But, O Mother of God, disdain not the supplications of thy servants that are offered unto thee in thy temple. But since thou holdest the compassionate one in thine arms, show compassion on thy servants, and intercede thou that our souls be saved. How was that?
That's a nice ending.
Yes, indeed.
Better the second time.
All right. So we'll sing it one more time, a little bit faster. And probably, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't pay attention to any of the words. I assume you guys probably didn't either, because you're even, like, with me doing it slowly, it was kind of like it's kind of laborious, and with you guys doing it slowly plus trying to read it, it's kind of like all the words, it's like I said things, but I have no idea. I knew there was Isaiah in there, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot in these hymns, but eventually one of our chanters in Pittsburgh, we paid attention one time. We both lost our place completely because we were like blown away by what the hymn said, and we were like, "Whoa!" And other people were like, "Come on, keep chanting," and we were like, "Okay," got lost by the theology. So
Yes.
so sometimes I guess it's good to pay attention to the words, but to have previously read them, and to know what they say before that, so you don't get thrown off.
Something you've read for years and years suddenly jumps out at you,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go, that happened to me this morning. I'm like, I suddenly got lost.
Really?
Yeah.
That happened to me during Theophany one year, and I hear the hymns year after year after year, and I was reading, and the one thing with me was John the Baptist is talking to Christ, and he says, you want me to baptize you? How can the lamp illuminate the light?
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, the lamp illuminate the... Whoa!
Okay.
And that was one of the places where we both just stopped dead in our tracks, and we were like, how can the lamp... What? What is that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, those things pop out.
Yes.
Ananes, glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, both now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Behold, fulfilled is the prophecy of Isaiah. Hello.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I was reading the top one. I apologize.
The top two.
Oh yeah. So we're doing the second one, the second line, right? Is that
Yeah.
okay? That way we'll say Isaiah. Okay. Behold, fulfilled is the prophecy of Isaiah. For as a virgin hast thou given birth, and after giving birth thou hast remained as thou wast before childbirth. For he that was born was God, wherefore also he hath renewed all natures. But, O Mother of God, disdain not the supplications of thy servants that are offered unto thee in thy temple. But since thou holdest the compassionate one in thine arms, show compassion on thy servants, and intercede thou that our souls be saved. And right at the end, you have the, everyone knows how that works rhythmically, right? The saved.
I know intellectually, but it's not in my brain.
Okay.
I know from the earrings. From
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
not from singing.
You got that? What is that like? It's on a backwards going on. There's
The
word for that.
argon.
Argon. That's
Yeah.
And we have an omalon.
Yeah, the omalon underneath. And
that's what that is. I don't know what that omalon does, except it looks like something that pushes cards on them.
yeah, yeah. That one is just normally there's something. It means something.
Yeah.
We'll just say it means a flutter at the moment.
Okay.
And the way that I'm doing it is saved. You can also save just some sort of flutter in there.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the saved is a little boring. It's not really that boring, but so that's why there's that other flip of the voice. And just to go back over the argon, since we see it, that's our guy. You only really see it on this symbol combo, and then whenever you see that, so it's so this just means so 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1. So, and everything stays the same except for the amount of holds on the last note, which would, if we had our that guy, this just becomes, instead of that, it's now 2 dots, and then if it's this guy, then it's just 3 dots. Is that the argon, the 3E mi argon, and the D argon, something like that. So,
okay.
But yeah, okay. Any questions on the Brief Apostica? Otherwise, we'll move on to 4th mode.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, 4th mode. Moving forward. Yeah. Oh yeah, because it's an even.
That's right.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, 4th mode. People hate 4th mode, and I don't know why. I've grown to love 4th mode very much so.
I think the Akathist is that.
Yeah, the Akathist is in 4th mode.
So I guess I've done that.
The Obicod, I don't know the odd tones.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, because the Byzantines know the even tones, and the Slavic ones only know the odd. Or
Other way around.
odd way, yeah, even.
Right.
It's just the way we split it up here.
Vespers
Yes.
every week, they switch on every other week. Yeah.
So the odd tones are done by the
Byzantines.
and the even tones are done by the Obicod
Yeah.
group.
So each group only knows those tones because they sing them on a regular basis, and so whenever like the Obicod team sees tone 7, they're like, what?
Yes.
How do I do tone 7? And vice versa. It's like when we see tone 4 or tone 2 or tone 6, it's kind of like, what?
That's when I was holding Marbearers and they kept using tone 3 and I'm like, I don't know this tone.
Yeah.
I really don't. Tone 1, why are you using tone 1? I don't know these.
Yeah.
And Sister Deborah's looking like, what?
So the 4th tone. The people seem to hate this one, and I think the reason is both because it centers on Vu, which is kind of unsettling, but also because it's used all the time because the martyrs get tone 4, and we have so many martyrs that we sing it constantly.
Oh, is that true? I never noticed that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the major thing is like St. George's, his melodies for Vespers. A lot of the martyrs get the same melodies, right. And so his are all tone 4. And so his is as one valiant in martyrdom, trophy bearer, great martyr George, and then there's another one for the cross, and then there is then the one thy martyrs, O Lord, in their courageous contest for thee, which is the normal troparion, the dismissal hymn or politician. That one is tone 4 as well, and you sing that all the time. So until you get used to it, it's kind of like, man, why is this one again? But we will grow to love it, I hope. So tone 4, its basis note is Vu. And the one thing that we'll talk about eventually is that the way the tones go, we'll say like 1, 2, 3, 4, is that initially way back in the day, tone 1 was started on, its basis note was Ke, then it went Di, then Ga, and then Vu. And there were originally just 4 tones, and then they thought that's not complicated enough, but this is why this one is Vu. And so, in general, the brief sticks around Vu, and its arc is, we'll say, Vu, it goes up to D, and then it goes back down to Vu.
What is the arc?
Kind of the arc of the melody. Like, so it's Vu, and then you might go da Vu ga di ke di ga Vu Vu. It's going from Vu up to D and back down to Vu. Sometimes it'll go from Vu, it'll go up to D. If it stays around D, then instead of being in this Vu to D realm, it'll go to the D to Ni, so high Ni, this other section of the scale. So that's Vu ga di ke zo ni zo ke di ga vu, and always ending at the end on Vu. There are exceptions to this, but in general, for the brief tone 4, it starts on Vu and ends on Vu. In general, this is again same as the previous one, diatonic scale. So our Vu that we sing all the time is slightly flat. So it's, if you were to do it really, really correctly, it just sounds weird. And then the other thing to know before we start getting into music, sometimes you go down a Ni. Some composers go down a Ni more often than others. When you do that, it's Vu, pa, ni, pa, vu, but that's not how you sing it because that's not how the intervals attract each other. So most of the time, if you just go very quickly between Vu and Ni, Vu, pa, ni, pa, vu, pa gets pulled up to Vu because they're so close together that pa just gets pulled up to it. So Vu, di, ga, vu, pa, ni, pa, vu, and then besides this whole thing, it will land on pa. And so you'll have pa vu ga di ga vu pa. It goes back to Vu. So pa is also one of those tentative landing points.
So from Vu it goes to Ni and then goes to D or not to Pa?
Well, it always starts on Vu, ends on Vu. It normally goes between Vu and D, back and forth. Sometimes just to word paint certain things, it'll go Vu pa ni pa vu. And then at certain maybe tentative endings in the midst of the music, you'll go to pa. And then it'll go back to Vu. So with that, because of that, our Isan is normally Vu, Li, or if we go down to pa, pa. Sometimes you'll see Ni, but in general, it'll say Mazi, and the Isan will go with it. Was that too fast? Does that make sense to people?
Once it's making sense.
Yeah. Oh. So this is.
I question my brain now.
And then the one thing you'll notice, because 4 and Plagal 4 are intimately related, you will notice similarities in terms of the phrases that are used in the music, as well as just certain characteristics. You're like, oh, that's kind of like Plagal 4, tone 8 that we were singing. And the only other
Can
thing.
you give a brief example of both so we can have them fresh of the differences?
Sure.
The
So.
legal and
Yeah.
simple.
Let's see. Nivu ga vivi kezoke vivi gavu ga vi kezoke vi vu gavu pani, as opposed to vu ga vivi kezoke vivi gavu ga vi kezoke vi ke vivi ga vi gavu. Uses the same, like they both stay in this the realm, hit zo and go back and down. Except this one always ends on vu, and the other one goes all the way down to ni.
Mm-hmm.
So there's similarities there. And then the other thing is that you see at the top of the music, you see your hijos, and then in the middle of it, it has your little symbol that we talked about before. Tos. Okay, and then it says after that vu. And we'll talk about slow eventually because slow is different and there's different rules. So we have hijos, our mode, our tone, and then this tells us where we are. Our starting note is vu, or our basis note, and then this tells us that this is the diatonic symbol for vu. So that tells us that we're kind of in the diatonic scale. And then all of this together comes from legatos, which we talked about before. And the intonation, the way to get into this mode, we saw with Plagal fourth, it was neagie. I did that all the time. Tone 1, all the time I did ananes. This one is legatos vigavu. And legatos, we talked about this before, I think.
I think so.
Do you remember this?
I know we talked about it, I don't remember.
Yeah, so legatos came from, there's different, ananes comes from something, neagia comes from things, they're all from little prayers, except for legatos. Legatos, 2 words, lega and tos, originally it wasn't vu, it was tos. But because of the interval, it was hard for people to sing. So they would never hit tos right, so it was vigavu. It was lower than people wanted to sing. So eventually some master chanter somewhere got upset at his students. He was like, legetos, legetos, legetos.
Say that.
Yes.
It means say. It's an order.
Okay.
Lege.
So say tos.
Say the tos.
Yeah. And so it's like just say tos, just
say it.
yeah. And so then eventually it was like it's easy, legetos. And then eventually it has remained. So as far as I know, that story is correct, and it was told to me by Dr. Nick Yanokakis in Pittsburgh, who has a degree in Byzantine music. So I'm going to trust him. I have not read the story for myself in any scholarly document, but that was where, when I asked him, I was like, so where's this legatos come from? He was like, it's an interesting story.
Yeah.
So if you have difficulty with vu, rest assured that many people throughout the centuries have, such that it remains in the annals of Byzantine chant. So that's kind of the beginning of this, and the other thing we'll see a bunch, and we discussed this before, is our the Zygos scale, which we won't talk about it until we actually see it. But if you happen to see that guy, know that it's a scale change. This will normally be on V. It always represents V in the Zygos scale. Sorry, it's in the bottom. And so that one, if you look at your scale chart, which I will bring that up on my screen, and if anyone doesn't have it, I can show you on my thing. If you go to the scale chart, the Zygos scale, right after it, it's kind of it says yoke, which I believe is the translation of Zygos. And that just, it kind of makes it heavier. It just kind of pulls it down. So that's why it's called yoke as an English translation. But that's our scale right there in that corner, and we'll discuss that when it becomes appropriate. But we've already talked about that a little bit with Plagal 4, was it? I think.
We talked about
Yeah.
when I was here.
Yeah, So yeah, so we'll get back to that, but no need to bother yourself with it yet. Okay, so any questions before we start singing some things, some tunes? Okay.
This rhythm is the normal one?
Yep, the 1-2-1-2, the duple.
160.
The
160.
Yeah. This one, yeah, this, if you were to sing this, it'd be, Lord, I have cried unto thee, hearken unto me. Just that type of, but we'll do it slower. So, Legetos anfugadicativu. 1, 2, 1. Ke ga di ke ga di ke di ga vu di ga vu ga di ga vu pa vu ga di ga vu ga di zo ke di ga vu di ga vu pa vu ga di ga vu ga di ke zo ke di ke zo ni zo ke di ga vu di ga vu. All right. How was that? We got the right at the beginning. We went from ke di ga vu, and then we went vu ga di ga vu pa, and the rest of the time we just went from vu, and we had when I cry unto thee. We went up to the thee to that other tetrachord, that other set of 4 notes, from thee to knee. And okay, do it again on the notes, or do it with Lord I've cried.
We can do it with the words, yeah.
Okay. Vigavu 1, 2, 1. Lord, I have cried unto thee, hearken unto me, hearken unto me, O Lord. Lord, I have cried unto thee, hearken unto me, attend to the voice of my supplication, when I cry unto thee, hearken unto me, O Lord. Pretty easy.
It is strange to end at this note.
Wait, what?
It is strange to the ending.
Yeah. It kind of ends and it's like, are we done? Is that it? And then the one thing, when I cry unto thee, at the intersection of the 2 pages, at the page turn, so the way that I was doing it, when I cry unto thee, which we talked about before, though you could also do here, when I cry unto thee. That's how all the chanters in Pittsburgh would do it.
Oh, yeah.
And then Mount Athos was the first way, Pittsburgh was the second way, and Papa Ephraim from Philothea, they would do it the second way. And then, when I cry unto thee, is like Thessaloniki, and certain parts in Greece would do it that way. So, just to let you know, options there. Or, when I cry unto thee, that's also appropriate.
It's
So, Yeah.
St. Mary's.
Yeah, the St. Mary's version. So let's do Let My Prayer on the Nipa Vuga, and then we'll do it with the words, and then we'll do both of them together on a quicker way. So Viga vu legatos 1, 2, 1. Ga vu ga di ga vu ga vu ke di ga vu pa vu ga di ke zo ke di ga vu ga di ga vu. Quick. It's kind of, we're already done with it. So with the words, is that okay? Okay. Starting on Ga, as I so found out. Let my prayer be set forth as incense before thee, the lifting up of my hands as an evening sacrifice. Hearken unto me, O Lord. Cool. Any questions there? That's kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's go back to Lord I Have Cried, and we'll go straight through. As if it were in church. Legatos, Lord, I have cried unto thee. Hearken unto me. Hearken unto me, O Lord. Lord, I have cried unto thee. Hearken unto me. Attend to the voice of my supplication when I cry unto thee. Hearken unto me, O Lord. Let my prayer be set forth as incense before thee, the lifting up of my hands as an evening sacrifice. Hearken unto me, O Lord. Cool. Sounds very good to me. Any questions? Kind of coming together. And you'll notice this time and time again. You'll get used to the phrases of tone 4. It's all the same thing. But yet different. The same but different. So going to verse number 1 and Sekira number 1. This is before we get to Sekira number 1, just to let you know, in worshipping thy life-creating cross. There's that pull of pa closer to vu. There's no sharp or flat written there. There's just.
And why is that again?
Because so what happens? Apparently, there's been studies on this as to why it developed as such. This is oral tradition, as to that's how you sing it.
Okay.
And apparently, your ear wants to pull vu and pa close together, and so vu is where it is, and their interval is such that pa you really want pa just innately to be higher, and happens in a bunch of these different things, which is why zo changes positions in certain things, vu changes positions sometimes, pa changes positions, and there was an interesting study, and I saw there is a journal written, like a journal article written in Greece, and there's a video of it, and the guy was presenting it, And at the beginning of the thing, he said, "Do you want me to speak in English or Greek?" And everyone in the audience said, "Greek." And I was like, "No," because I wanted to hear what he had to say. But I was able to just kind of flip forward and listen to. He was playing a recorder essentially that was tuned to the Byzantine intervals, and he played the same intervals. And he was like, "What did you hear?" And you hear "Vuga vupani pavu," and he was like, "That's not what I played." And then and then he plays it again, and it's kind of like that's what you really want to hear. So your ear kind of plays with it. And then I think I forget I didn't watch the entire thing, but I believe like there was some way that he proved to the audience that they were hearing something different than what he was playing, like according to the frequencies and things. And it's just the way that we want to do it. So because we want to hear that, we just end up singing it that way anyway. And so it's what they call. The only way that I've heard is kind of the attracting. I don't know what an English word would be for it, but like the attraction between intervals. So there's a certain attraction between ke and zo. There's a certain attraction between pa and vu, and depending upon how you sing it, those attractions get magnified. And the only way that you really learn about them is listening to other people.
So.
Yep. In worshipping thy life creating cross. As opposed to in worshipping thy life creating cross. With the pa lower. And there was a guy, again it was in Greek, and so I couldn't hear, but I was trying to figure out
So why didn't we sing it that way up here, hearken unto me, O Lord? Or did we?
Oh, the hearken unto me, O Lord, because we stay on pa. We hit pa and we stay.
Bounce and go back.
It's when you bounce, yeah, okay. And when you go quickly. And one of the guys, George Hatzichronoglu from Thessaloniki, it was in Greek, and somebody translated for me, and they were like, when you go quickly by pa, when you go quickly past it, then remember that pa is higher than you think. And that was, I think, essentially what he ended up saying was that be careful with where you place pa because it's essentially pulled up.
Huh.
So whenever you go quickly past pa and you don't rest on it, then pa gets changed. Okay. But if you were to go,
whenever you rested on it, so
Vigavupa, it wouldn't be Vigavupa, which wouldn't make any sense. Well, at least it doesn't seem to make sense. So yeah, whenever you hit pa and rest on it, pa remains the same. Whenever you go past
so
it,
that's just like some little quirk, because it's not like part of the scale. It's just like
exactly. And sometimes you might hear Vigavupavugavi. Again, right there, you're just kind of hitting pa, but not really going to it. There, it's kind of a little more ambiguous, but definitely when you go to ni, oh man, that pa's got to be up. So, and the third line, we have a scale change, but we'll talk about that. So,
oh yeah.
Yes. Verse number 1.
Where do you see that?
Right here.
Yeah.
It flips back, so it's only for like
3 notes.
Interesting.
Yep.
A couple of syllables.
And we'll see what that does. It kind of nuances the music. So it's all about nuance and about conveying, painting an icon with the words essentially. So. Especially when people can't understand the words, or if they don't know what it means, or if they're not paying attention. If they hear something weird, they're like, "Whoa!" They must be talking about something. Yeah, something that's interesting. So let's start with verse number 1. Legatos, bring my soul out of prison, that I may confess thy name. Vudiga vu pani pavu vikediga vu gadiga vu pa viga vikediga vu Bugadi. Let's stop there for a moment. And then we have the corrupted nature. So you got to do something on corrupted. Otherwise, it wouldn't be right. So, on corrupted nature, what you have The corrupted nay. What note are we on nay? On nature?
Then V.
Yeah, we're on V. So we see this symbol. This one, which means soft chromatic scale.
Mm-hmm.
And it means the soft chromatic scale where this is the, or I believe it can be ni. Is it? Oh, it can be the, vu, ni, or zo. We'll just say most of the time it's the. Mm-hmm. It could also be vu, it could be ni, or it could be high zo. And that's where it's in the scale chart. If anyone wants to see that, it's a scale chart. And so what that does is it says, okay, you were on the diatonic scale. Mm-hmm. Now you're going to switch to the in the soft chromatic scale. And the soft chromatic scale, instead of 12, 10, 8, 12, and 12, 10, 8, it is 8, 14, 8, 12, 8, 14, 8. Okay. So, this is kind of a half step, kind of not a half step. Right. This is kind of half step, kind of not a half step. So
instead of kind of 2 half steps, it's kind of a half step and kind of a whole.
Yeah. So it depends how you do it.
2 whole steps.
The Arabs, when they do it, they really make this an intense. They make this a half step. A lot of them. It depends who you listen to, but a lot of them do that. A lot of the Greek singers soften it so that it's even softer. To separate.
Softer mean less than a half step.
Yeah, so instead of let's say, which would be this. That's which is the hard thing. Or the Byzantines, or the Greeks sometimes do. They kind of leave that soft. The real thing is somewhere in the midst.
Yeah.
And I have a recording where it's beautiful the way that they do it, and it's kind of gives you chills. You're like, that's so weird. It shouldn't be that way, but it is that way. And so it depends how we do it. But just be aware that this is kind of in between a half step and a whole step. It's closer to a half step because a 6 is a half step, 12 is a whole step. So it's not because, okay. And you can, if you want to practice it, I have some things that help practice these intervals. But just to let you know, that's what it is. And then to switch back, we see this little symbol, which is our symbol to go to the in the diatonic scale. So that just says, okay, whatever you were on, this now becomes diatonic V. And so we just we go to the soft chromatic for a little bit of time, and then we switch to the diatonic scale, back to the diatonic. And the major thing, the reason why this is because it's corrupted nature. So the thing that's corrupted is nature, so corrupted doesn't get anything, but nature gets it. So, the corrupted, the corrupted nature of man, O Almighty One. So it's just that nature. And I guess the corrupted nature. That's a little bit more obvious that we changed something. But it's so quick that if we mess it up, it doesn't really matter. There's times when it really does matter much more. But here, just know that we switch scales and then the intervals are slightly different. Does that make sense? I hope I didn't confuse anyone with the scales. So that's our soft chromatic, and that's the third one in our scale chart. So let's go back. The third line. Yeah, so the third line, and we're let's go to the end of the second line on the vu. Yeah. Legatos vugadiga vugadi Vuga vike viga vuga vi Nizo kevi kezo kevi gavi vi kegavi gavo vi gavo. All right, sorry for that one a little fast. Any questions on that one?
The last phrase from Endalditz. Can we just do that?
Wait, where? Oh. Sure. Vuga vike viga vuga vi Nizo kevi kezo kevi gavi vi kegavi gavo vi gavo. And if you notice, and that'll show unto us the way up into the heavens. It goes up unto the heavens. So we don't change scales, but we change our range of the scale. Shall we do it with the words?
Okay.
Okay, in worshiping the life-creating cross. And then we'll go back to verse number 1 a little quicker, stick here number 1 a little quicker, and then I think we'll be done. So, in worshiping. In worshipping thy life-creating cross, unceasingly, O Christ God, we glorify thy resurrection on the third day, for thereby hast thou renewed the corrupted nature of man, O Almighty One, and thou didst show unto us the way up unto the heavens, since thou alone art good and the friend of man. That was a little quick, I apologize. Since thou alone art good and the friend of man, just to let you know, good is kind of in the midst of a phrase where you really want to breathe. So if I breathed right in that last penultimate line, show unto us the way, I breathe up unto the heavens, since thou alone art good. Sometimes I want to breathe right there. If you want to breathe, don't flutter, because it could be good. And then you have no time to do it. So I would, rather than swallowing saliva down the wrong pipe due to breathing too quickly, I would just say, since thou alone art good and the friend of man. So you have the possibility there to do kind of what you want as the tempo dictates.
Right.
If you do, up unto the heavens, since thou alone art good and the friend of man, that's fine. But if it's kind of a more leisurely pace, it gets to be a little questionable.
Yeah, presumably you would cut us off.
Yeah, I would hopefully do something to let you know.
I noticed I think we were following that pretty well. You did it a couple times in spots where there wasn't really a break, but
that's sometimes, but some of that's either reading ahead, the fact that I've sung those things before kind of lets me know I should probably breathe here, or looking and not seeing a pause at all in the future. I'm kind of like, this is not going to go well. So sometimes that where you just kind of hold it at a place where it's appropriate in the music. I've started when I write my own music, I've put pluses in the midst of the music to let you know, breathe, and it's an appropriate place to breathe, but also it gives you a chance to, if you want to pause, this will not mess up the language.
Right.
So it's not in the midst of a sentence or in the midst of a word, which we've had that happen when I was in Pittsburgh. Sometimes our head chanter, he hadn't read the music before, and he would cut us off in the midst of theology, or it was thea, and then he would thea, logi, and it was kind of no, that was not really the appropriate place to pause. But it seemed like it in the music, but the way the phrase worked, we should never have paused. So hopefully, at least when I do it, hopefully it's kind of clear. It's kind of we'll just pause, give it a little lift. Bring my soul out of prison. Legetos. Bring my soul out of prison, that I may confess thy name. In worshipping thy life-creating cross, unceasingly, O Christ God, we glorify thy resurrection on the third day. For thereby hast thou renewed the corrupted nature of man, O Almighty One. And thou didst show unto us the way up unto the heavens, since thou alone art good and the friend of man. Now there, I happened to breathe, and I think it was because I didn't actually breathe on the way. I breathed on and without a show. I breathed. Oh yeah, you could breathe there. So anywhere in there to breathe, I happened to just forget to breathe. And so I think I was like, and thou didst show unto us the way up unto the heavens, since thou, and I was really excited to go, and then I was like, I forgot. So don't be like me. Be excited about the music and be like, I want to, up into the heavens, since you're good and the friend of man. It's very exciting stuff. But breathe is good. So, any questions on that one? Okay, I'm fine with being done then for the evening. It's 8:10.
Okay.
Cool. All right.